In Tokyo, there is a woman who gets home from work at 8 in the evening, later than you, more tired than you. Her train was crowded, her inbox is still full, and her apartment is smaller than your living room. Tonight she will be asleep in under 10 minutes, and tomorrow she will wake up rested, without an alarm dragging her out of bed. It's not melatonin, it's not a blackout mask, it's not discipline, it's what happens in the 2 hours before she sleeps. A sequence, 7 small evening habits, most of them under 5 minutes, that Japanese homes have quietly repeated for generations. Habits that don't fight for better sleep, but make deep sleep the only possible outcome. Stay for habit 5. It's the one a doctor in Tokyo actually prescribes to his patients, instead of sleeping pills. Let's begin where every Japanese evening begins, at the table. Habit 1. Eat with the sun, not the clock. Walk through a residential street in Japan around 6:30 in the evening, and you'll notice something through the windows. Dinner is already on the table, families eating, dishes steaming. The day's last meal, hours before most Western households have even decided what to cook. It looks like tradition, it isn't. It's thermodynamics. Here is what most people never learn about their own body. Digestion runs hot. From the moment you eat, your core temperature rises as your body processes the meal, and it stays elevated for hours. But sleep needs the opposite. To enter deep, restorative sleep, your core temperature has to drop by 2 to 3 degrees. Those are the brain's conditions, non-negotiable. So when you eat a heavy meal at 9 and lie down at 11, you're asking your body to do 2 opposite jobs at once. Heat up to digest. Cool down to sleep. It can't do both, so it does both badly. You fall asleep, technically, but it's shallow, fragmented, the kind of sleep that leaves you 8 hours in bed and still exhausted at sunrise. The Japanese evening solves this without solving anything. Dinner ends around 7. By the time the body lies down, digestion has finished its loudest work. The internal heat has already begun to fall. Sleep doesn't have to fight for the body's attention. The body is already offering it. You don't need to change what you eat, you need to change when you stop. In Japan, dinner doesn't end the day, it releases it. And what happens after dinner might be the most underrated habit on this entire list, because it doesn't look like a habit at all. Habit 2. Uzampo. The evening stroll. After dinner, something unusual happens on Japanese streets. They fill up slowly. Older couples, parents with children, people walking dogs that don't seem to be in any hurry either. This is Yusanpo, the evening stroll. No headphones, no step counter, no destination, just 15, maybe 20 minutes of unhurried walking as the light fades. To Western eyes, it looks like exercise. It isn't. It's a signal. Your body runs on an internal clock, the circadian rhythm, and that clock doesn't read numbers. It reads light. When you walk outside as the sun goes down, your eyes register the fading, warming light of dusk, and your brain receives a message no app can send. The day is ending. Melatonin production gets its cue. The entire system begins its descent. And there's a second mechanism working underneath. A gentle walk after eating, even 10 minutes, significantly flattens the blood sugar spike that follows a meal. A flatter spike means a smaller crash. A smaller crash means no strange surge of restless energy at 10 p.m., the one you've probably blamed on stress. It was never stress, it was sugar. Notice what this habit costs. Nothing. No gym, no gear, no willpower. Just stepping outside while the sky changes color and letting your oldest biological software read the light it was built to read. The walk isn't going anywhere. That's the point. But when the walk ends and the Japanese evening moves indoors, it heads toward water. And this is where the science gets counterintuitive. Habit 3. Ashiyu, the foot bath. In many Japanese homes, about an hour before bed, a simple basin appears. Hot water around 40 degrees, a towel folded beside it, and someone sits down, lowers their feet in, and does absolutely nothing for 10 minutes. This is ashiyu, the foot bath, and it sounds completely backwards. Heat before sleep? when everything you've just learned says the body needs to cool down, watch what actually happens. When you soak your feet in hot water, the blood vessels in your feet and lower legs dilate. They open wide. And those open vessels become an exit. Heat that was trapped deep in your core now has somewhere to go. It flows outward, to the skin, to the extremities, and escapes. The result is the exact drop in core temperature your brain has been waiting for, arriving faster and deeper than it would on its own. Researchers studying warm foot baths before bed have found the same pattern again and again. People fall asleep sooner, wake less during the night, and spend more time in the deep stages. Not because heat makes you sleepy, because heat in the right place is how the body lets go of heat. There's a quieter benefit too. For those 10 minutes, you can't scroll a feed with your feet in a basin. Well, you can, but somehow most people don't. The stillness becomes part of the ritual. Warm water, slow breathing, a day dissolving from the feet up. You don't cool the body by avoiding warmth. You cool it by letting warmth leave. And while the feet soak, there's usually something steaming on the table beside them. A drink that breaks every rule you've been told about sleep. Habit 4. Hojicha, the tea that ends the day. Tea before bed. Every sleep guide you've ever read just flinched, but look closer at the cup. The tea in a Japanese evening isn't green, it's amber, almost the color of whiskey. This is hojicha, and it's made through a small act of transformation. Green tea leaves roasted over high heat until they turn brown and the whole room smells like toast. That roasting changes everything. The high heat breaks down most of the caffeine. Hojicha carries only a fraction of what green tea or coffee holds, low enough that it's traditionally served to children and to the elderly in the evening without a second thought. What survives the roasting is more interesting than what's destroyed. Tea leaves carry a compound called L-theanine, an amino acid that encourages the brain to produce alpha waves. Alpha waves are the signature of a very specific state, relaxed but awake. Calm but clear, the state of a mind that has stopped bracing. So the evening cup isn't a stimulant that happens to be warm. It's the opposite, sakane, a small chemical instruction to stand down, wrapped in a ritual the body has learned to recognize. The kettle, the pour, the warmth in the hands. By the 100th repetition, the brain doesn't wait for the L-theanine. The smell alone starts the descent. The last drink of the day shouldn't wake the body. It should tell it the day is finished. Which brings us to habit 5, the one from the opening, the one that comes with the doctor's name attached, and it isn't a pill, a supplement, or a device. It fits in 3 lines. Habit 5, Sangyoniki. The 3-line diary. In Tokyo, there is a physician named Dr. Hiroyuki Kobayashi, a professor who has spent his career studying the autonomic nervous system, the hidden machinery that decides moment to moment whether your body is in fight or flight or rest and repair. And for patients who can't sleep, he prescribes something unusual, a notebook, 3 lines, every night, written by hand, slowly, just before bed. Line 1, the worst moment of your day. 1 sentence, the mistake, the friction, the thing still circling your mind. Line 2, the best moment of your day. 1 sentence, however small. The coffee that was exactly right, the message that made you smile. Line 3, 1 goal for tomorrow, just 1. The single thing that matters most. It looks almost too simple to work. Here's why it does. Your brain has a well-documented bias. It grips unfinished business far more tightly than finished business. Psychologists call it the Zeigarnik effect. Open loops replay, closed loops release. Every unresolved moment from your day is an open loop, and at 11 p.m., in the dark, with nothing left to distract you, your brain finally has room to replay all of them. That's the racing mind. It was never random. It was a backlog. The 3 lines close the backlog. Writing the worst moment doesn't solve it. It files it. The brain registers the loop as handled, at least for tonight. The best moment shifts the nervous system's final tone from vigilance to gratitude. And tomorrow's single goal takes the biggest anxiety of all, the shapeless weight of everything you have to do, and shrinks it to one line the mind can put down. Dr. Kobayashi's insistence on handwriting isn't nostalgia. Writing by hand is slow, and the slowness is the medicine. 3 lines written slowly is a speed limit for a mind that's been sprinting since morning. 3 lines? That's how long it takes to put a day down, and once the day is written down, the Japanese evening does something to the home itself, something you can see from the street. Habit 6. Akari. O-o-tosu, dropping the lights. Stand outside a Japanese neighborhood at 9 in the evening and look at the windows. The light coming through them is not white. It's amber, warm, low, like the whole street is lit by candles that happen to be electric. There's a phrase for this, akari o otosu, dropping the lights. As the evening deepens, overhead lights go off, small lamps go on. The home dims in stages like a slow, deliberate sunset happening indoors. This is the habit most Western homes get exactly backwards. We finish dinner and sit under the same bright white overhead light we'd use to read fine print, right up until the minute we get into bed. And then we wonder why the mind won't switch off. Here's what that brightness is doing. Melatonin, the hormone that initiates sleep, is exquisitely sensitive to light and especially to bright blue-white light from above. Because for millions of years, bright light from above meant one thing: the sun is up. Studies have found that ordinary indoor room lighting in the hours before bed can suppress melatonin by roughly half and delay its release well past your bedtime. Half your sleep signal, erased by a ceiling fixture. The fix costs nothing. You don't buy anything. You turn things off. After dinner, the overheads go dark, a lamp in the corner, warm bulbs, not cool ones. Let the house get dim an hour before you want your mind to. Your brain has been waiting your whole life for you to send it a sunset. Send it one. Darkness isn't the absence of the day. It's the beginning of rest. There's one habit left. And here is the strange thing about it. The last Japanese evening habit isn't about tonight at all. Habit 7. Asyu no junbi. Closing tomorrow before it opens. In the final minutes before bed, in homes all across Japan, a small quiet ceremony takes place, and it points entirely at the morning. Tomorrow's clothes laid out, the bag packed and waiting by the door, the kettle filled, sometimes the breakfast dishes already set on the table like a promise. This is Ashu no Junbi, preparing for tomorrow, and it takes about 5 minutes. It looks like organization. It's actually sleep medicine. Think about what's really happening when you lie down at night and your mind starts to race. A lot of that racing isn't about today. Today is finished. It's about tomorrow. What to wear, what to make, what you can't forget, when to leave. Your brain treats every one of those small, unmade decisions as an open thread, and it doesn't trust you enough to stop rehearsing them. So it runs the list, again and again, at midnight. Ashu no Junbi closes every thread before your head touches the pillow. The decisions aren't pending anymore. They're made sitting in physical form by the door where your brain can stop holding them. Rumination has nothing left to grip, and the habit pays a second time, 8 hours later. You wake into a morning with no decisions in it. No fog-brained staring into a closet. The first stretch of your day, the part that usually spikes your stress hormones before you've even had water, runs itself. Evenings built this way don't just end days well, they start the next one before it begins. The Japanese don't fall asleep leaving tomorrow open, they close it first. So let's go back to Tokyo, to the woman from the beginning, the one who gets home at 8 and is asleep by 11 in under 10 minutes without a single supplement. Now you can see her evening for what it really is. She eats soon after she walks in, early enough that her body will be cool by bedtime. She steps out afterward, 20 unhurried minutes under a darkening sky, and her internal clock reads the light and starts the descent. Back home, the overhead lights go off and the lamps come on. Her apartment performing its small indoor sunset. A basin of hot water for her feet while hojicha steams beside her, heat leaving her body through the very warmth that entered it. 3 slow lines in a notebook, the worst moment filed. The best moment kept. Tomorrow's one goal written down and released, and on her way to bed she lays out tomorrow. clothes, bag, kettle, closing the last open threads her mind could possibly race on. 7 habits. None of them looked like effort. None of them were named while she did them. That's why they work. They're not a routine she performs. They're just what evening is. Nothing on that list required money, willpower, or a single purchase. It required a different answer to one question. What is an evening for? Most of us treat it as leftover time. The scraps of the day spent scrolling until the scrolling stops. Japan treats it as a runway. Every small habit lowers the plane a little further so that by the time the lights go out, sleep isn't a struggle. It's a landing. You don't need all 7 tonight. Here is how they compress into one sequence. Call it the 10-minute evening. And you can run it tonight with what you already own. When dinner ends, step outside. 10 minutes, no phone, let your eyes read the sky. Walk back into a home where you turn the overhead lights off as you enter. Lamps only from now until morning. Put the kettle on. While it heats, lay out tomorrow's clothes and put your bag by the door. Pour something warm and caffeine-free, and while it cools, write your 3 lines. Worst moment, best moment, one goal. That's the entire practice. One flowing sequence, 10 minutes, and inside it you've quietly run 5 of the 7 habits without naming a single one. Add the early dinner and the foot bath when you're ready, and you'll have rebuilt the whole Japanese evening, not as a checklist, but as a shape your nights simply take. Do it for 3 nights, not 30, 3. By the 3rd night, your body will start expecting the sequence, and a body that expects sleep is a body that finds it. Millions of people tonight will lie down in bright rooms, full stomachs still working, minds still holding tomorrow, and call it trying to sleep. And they'll wake up tired and blame their mattress or their age or their stress, but you now know what they don't. Sleep was never a switch you flip at 11 p.m. It's a slope, and the whole evening is the slope. If this video gave you even one habit you'll use tonight, share it with someone who's tired of being tired. You know exactly who they are, and subscribe if you want more Japanese systems that actually work. Not hacks, not products, just quieter ways of doing what you were already doing. One last thing before you go. Sleep was never the goal. It's what a well-ended day gives you for free. Comment the number of the habit you're starting tonight. Just the number. I read every one.